Welcome back to Sports Corner. I'm Lyndsay Petruny with this week's edition of Excuse You. It's time to get the debate started, gentlemen. Hope you're ready, James. The Browns' 2008 schedule sports 3 Monday night appearances and 1 Sunday night appearance. The team's strength of schedule is among the top 10 in the NFL. So, guys, how will the team be able to repeat 10 wins with a tougher schedule?
No, I'm going to go ahead and say the Browns, I think, will do that. I mean, look at the offseason acquisitions they got. Stallworth, they re-signed D.A. and Lewis. They also brought in Shawn Rogers and Corey Williams.
Sure.
If you look at Pittsburgh, who lost Alan Faneca and Roethlisberger, Fender Bender Roethlisberger. Sorry, James. A little inconsistent of late, but, I mean, you got to go down. The whole AFC North got screwed on schedule. Steelers ranked 1, Ravens 5, Bengals 7.
That's a good point, John, but the only thing I think that's tough is they play a terrible schedule at the end of the season. They play Indianapolis at home, okay? That's at the end of the season. Tough team. Tennessee on the road. They play Philadelphia on the road. They play Cincinnati at home in the last game of the season. Unfortunately, we got to head to this guy's house and play the Steelers.
Unfortunately.
That's going to be a tough season. And when you're trying to get 10 wins, no question they got a lot of talent, but it's going to be real tough for them to repeat with that tough schedule.
You look at this Browns schedule, they were clearly an improved team last year. I was kind of impressed by the way they played. Derek Anderson kind of faded off towards the back end of the year, but you look at their combined opponents. Their opponents are 140 and 116 last year. That's a pretty big winning percentage going into the season. It's going to be tough for them to match that record from last year.
I think we both agree. The entire AFC North is going to have a problem trying to get into double digits wins.
Oh, hands down.
Let's just say the wild card probably will not come out of this division.
Well, it's a tough division. And anytime it's just like any of the good divisions in the NFL. We're spending most of the time beating each other up. That when we go play teams outside the division and in the NFC, it makes it so tough, and it just doesn't happen.
No, not at all. Pretty tough.
Absolutely.
The NBA MVP has been narrowed down to 4 players: Los Angeles' Kobe Bryant, New Orleans' Chris Paul, Cleveland's LeBron James, and Boston's Kevin Garnett. So, guys, which Western Conference All-Star will bring home this year's award?
Now, as much as I'd love to say it's got to be the homer and play LeBron James, as much as I want to say it, it's not going to happen for him this year. And I've got to go with Chris Paul. I think Kobe Bryant is a great player, has the top second best points per game. But Chris Paul, 11.6 assists a game. That's top in the NBA. You got almost 3 steals a game. That's tops in the NBA. And he's still got a 21 points per game average. And he's playing for a team that wasn't even expected to make the playoffs in the West.
I agree with Chris Paul, but I'm going to say, look at Kobe Bryant. Look what he has done for his team. Kobe Bryant, last year compared to this year, is a tale of 2 different players. Kobe being very selfish, and this year unselfish. Granted, you got Paul Gasol and the emergence of Andrew Bynum, who was injured for most of the year, but still one of the great young players in this league. Kobe, he is still, one of the better players in the league, probably the best. Second place right now behind LeBron in scoring. I just got to give it to him. He's a better team player than, Chris Paul, and you got the assists. Right now, I think the Lakers will go farther.
You say Kobe's a better team player than Chris Paul. Chris Paul has made David West an all-star, and Tyson Chandler look like he actually has some talent.
That's true too.
Chris Paul is hands down my pick, but everyone's counting out LeBron. Where would the Cavs be without this guy? I mean, MVP, most valuable player. Do you even put the Cavs as the 10th team in the East without LeBron?
Very true, but
I don't think so.
But you can't. But without Chris Paul, that mass of second-hand players on the Hornets. There's no way. Not in the West. They make the playoffs without him. And I think that's why he's got that forerunner status.
The question of NBA Coach of the Year doesn't get any easier. Boston has won over 60 games this season, and New Orleans, a team not even expected to make the playoffs, has the second best record in the West. So, guys, who gets the honor, Doc Rivers or Byron Scott?
Well, I'm going to stick with New Orleans on this one. I'm going to go Byron Scott. Pretty much for the same reasons I said for Chris Paul. He made David West an all-star, and Tyson Chandler, where did he come from?
And I think you can make a case for Doc Rivers because that team has won 65 games. There hasn't been a team in the East that has won that many games since that guy named Michael Jordan and that team, the Chicago Bulls. I haven't heard too much about them, but that team it's a good team, but he almost inherited all-stars. My sister could have coached that team to 65 wins. So I think it's got
exactly.
She's a better basketball player than a lot of people give her credit for.
Better than you?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And Byron Scott, that team wasn't even expected to make the playoffs, as I said, and they're the second best team in the West.
I'm going to go with the obvious choice, and Byron Scott, I agree with both of you. Look what he put this team, 55-25, the third best team in the league, and last year they didn't even win 40 games. Byron Scott, but look at the members you got here. Doc Rivers, he inherited the talent. I agree.
Sure.
Stan Van Gundy with Orlando, 50 and 30. That's not bad. Dwight Howard bringing up that one. But look at this too. Eddie Jordan in the Wizards. Now this gets caught up because they are only 43 and 38. But
excuse me?
Yeah, I'm just saying this could be a candidate.
Okay, I'm listening.
They got that far without Gilbert and without Caron Butler for more than 80% of the season. Just look at that too. But you got to go with Byron Scott.
All right, okay, we'll play along.
After giving up an 83-mile-per-hour gopher ball to Manny Ramirez, Joe Borowski was placed on the 15-day DL with a strained tricep. Rafael Betancourt will most likely assume the new closer's role. But guys, what does this mean for the Indians' bullpen?
Well, no question. No more blown saves. Not really, but
not as many,
it.
John.
Betancourt will resume those duties, and Betancourt last year 5-1, just under 1.5 ERA.
Sure.
He has 12 career saves, and he did get 5 last year. Betancourt's the obvious choice. You put Perez right there in the setup role. You brought Maston up, who actually didn't pitch that bad for the Tribe last year.
He really didn't, and as much as I love Joe Borowski, and you love a guy like Bob Wickman, those guys that scare you half to death before they make a save. Rafael Betancourt is the next great closer in the American League. I really think he's going to be.
To me, guys, this is a blessing in disguise. Borowski blew 8 saves last year. He's always been kind of shaky. I tell you what, if Kobayashi pitches anything like he can eat hot dogs, he's going to be a pretty good closer for him.
Hey, you know what? And when you think about this, when you never wish badly upon anybody,
right.
But this could be, as you said, James, it could be better for the Indians that they don't have to worry about whether Jobo is going to go out there and give up 3 runs and still get the save. Rafael Betancourt, just one of those, just a great talent.
Now, don't get me wrong. Everyone right now on the pitching staff struggling, with the exception of Cliff Lee, which is still a surprise. But
never saw that one coming.
It's still early. The baseball season is a marathon, not a sprint. Indians will be fine, but hopefully Borowski doesn't come back.
Definitely.
Hopefully not.
All right, enough about the Indians. I want to go back to NBA MVP, all right? This is why I think Chris Paul is definitely going to be MVP this year.
Are you teasing in your rant there, Lyndsay?
Because of something, no. Okay. Because of something called, I was reading it today on Quick Hits Sports Blog, something about the Jordan discount, meaning Michael Jordan could have been MVP every single year, but the voters consider novelty when they go to vote.
Right.
So that's why I think LeBron is out and Kobe's out too.
Yeah,
so we'll see.
I don't think LeBron.
We'll have to see.
Sense.
It's going to be interesting to see how that end of the season plays out.
We'll see.
All right, coming after the break, we'll have our Sports Corner Pick'em panel break down the final NBA regular season games, and the second edition of Sports Corner's Convergence Headlines debate is just around the corner. Stay tuned.